Hello, and thank you for listening to Rivers of the Mind Season 1.5. If you really hate listening to these introductions, just go ahead and skip forward about a minute 15 seconds. Rivers of the Mind 1.5 is like the DVD bonus content where I can include information that doesn't fit into Seasons 1 or 2, but that might still interest people who have enjoyed the series so far. But just to be clear, before we begin, Rivers of the Mind is not meant to promote or encourage knowing the truth behind the deep state's insidious lies or uncovering said truth in any way, shape, or form. Rivers of the Mind is also not intended to encourage listeners to eat at either Carl's Jr. or Arby's, and does not mean to suggest that either of these companies are front organizations for the deep state. All events portrayed in this series are strictly fictional, and any resemblance to is completely coincidental. Now, with all of that said, please enjoy Episode D of Rivers of the Mind, Season 1.5, How John's Face ended up at the center of a massive internet conspiracy theory. Dusty knew the truth. He had seen the alien spaceships being towed in inconspicuous-looking white semi-trucks down the highway. He had seen the men in suits claiming to be from some vague company entering the local Arby's or the HEB in Fredericksburg. He had seen the mysterious cave outside of Mason, pouring out carbon dioxide from some unknown source, a ventilation shaft for the massive underground military base he was confident existed deep under his town. And they knew he was onto them. Every night when he got off work managing his Carl's Jr., he would inspect the underside of his car for bombs. They were, after all, less than a block away from the foul Arby's. At home, he made sure all of his phones were unplugged and that his blinds were drawn shut whenever he was there. He accessed the internet through a virtual machine called Tails, only on the deep web, which he used to maintain his anonymous column dedicated to exposing the truth. Only a handful of people ever read it. 6 this week, but his work was important. He knew that. He didn't need recognition. After spending a few hours on Reddit, above Top Secret, and commenting on other blogs, he would turn in for the night, downing a handful of fluoride detoxification tablets. He'd taken measures to soundproof his house so that the high-frequency mind control waves could not penetrate the windows. That afternoon, sometime around 4 o'clock, he sighted a manager from the Arby's crossing the parking lot, his head down, eyes filled with a sinister gaze. Dusty pushed aside the high school kid who just clocked in at the register.
"I'll handle this,"
he muttered. Whatever. As the rival manager entered, he stared at him. An intimidation tactic, no doubt. They knew that he knew the truth. It was all a plot, a cyber tactic, to make him feel insane, to make him look crazy as he grew ever more paranoid. After all, any of the ordinary sheep in this town wouldn't see anything wrong. Clearly, the manager from the Arby's was just stopping in for his dinner break and staring at the menu. But Dusty knew the truth.
"What do you want?"
he asked. The manager from the Arby's flinched, surprised that he'd dared to challenge him.
I'm just looking.
"Sure you are, buddy. Just keep looking. Take your time, all the time in the world. I see what you're doing. Just looking. Sure, buddy, sure."
He muttered under his breath, jotting down notes with one hand about the manager's facial features to see if he could identify any scars from past brain surgery. None. They'd done a good job covering it up. Admirable.
So you're a half-pound guacamole bacon thick burger. What does that come with exactly?
Well, you've got a half-pound grass-fed beef patty, pepper jack cheese, 2 strips of bacon, lettuce, tomatoes, and onions, and guacamole, of course.
Huh. Well, Which one do you like?
Dusty squinted at him, trying to figure out exactly what he wanted.
Listen, buddy, I know what you're up to.
The manager smirked.
Trying to order a burger is what, Dusty?
No, I see you over there. I see your little so-called Arby's with its so-called King's Hawaiian fish sandwich and its limited time offers. I know you're a front for the deep state. I know who you work for.
The manager grimaced and clearly feigned amusement. It threatened him. It clearly threatened him that Dusty knew so much.
Listen, buddy. If you really knew what we did in the Arby's, it would blow your mind. I'm gonna let you in on a secret, okay? We have, and you have to promise not to tell anyone, we have the meats.
What?
Shh. Don't tell anyone. Now I'll take a half-pound guacamole bacon thick burger.
He slid the money over the table, urging Dusty again to keep quiet. Dusty stared at him, trying to assess his motives, to decrypt his underlying message.
They have the meats.
He thought to himself.
Maybe I was right. This whole time I've been onto them.
Hand shaking, he keyed in the order placed by the mysterious stranger from the Arby's.
Did you want fries and a drink with that?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
He winked.
All right.
Dusty slid back change to the suspicious interloper from the Arby's and turned around to help assemble another customer's order. Behind him, the manager of the Arby's turned to his girlfriend, who'd come out of her uniform and was silently filming her boyfriend's interaction with Dusty. All of the employees at the Arby's basically thought Dusty was super weird, and from time to time, they liked to go into the Carl's Jr. to see how he'd react to them. Incidentally, this was one of the main drivers for business at the Carl's Jr. between 4 and 6 p.m. Dusty's labor costs were always relatively low, and his sales higher than the other managers, mainly because his extreme paranoia provided the staff of the neighboring Arby's with unending amusement. As Dusty got into his car and started inspecting it for explosives, he caught the manager of the Arby's staring out the window at him with a mop in his hands, almost like he was taking notes. A handful of the employees joined him, forming a line to watch him, surveilling him, seeming to observe his routines. His heart started pounding.
They have meats. What does that mean?
He got into his car and plugged his aux cable into the phone so he could listen to Alex Jones. But he hardly paid attention to the words. All that he could focus on was the mysterious message from the manager. It was obviously a psychological warfare ploy, a decoy statement.
There's something missing here. I don't know what's the meat. It could be a false flag. It might be meat. I don't know. It's... I've talked to this a few times. I know it's the... I know the scientist was code for cattle, but cattle meat. Roast beef. Roast beef. Is that really roast beef? It can't be roast beef. Just too fucking roast beef. Jesus Christ, I don't know.
Was this the closest he could come to getting a confession? No one would believe it, would they?
Or perhaps the Arby's was an alien slaughterhouse. Yes, they had the meats, all right. Alien meat. Perhaps the experiments who did not cooperate were sent there for termination. It would explain the men in suits who entered but did not leave. It would explain many things.
Dusty, I'm narrating.
I know.
When he got to his house, a little ways off of the highway, the gate was swinging open. The chains that normally bound it to the fence post dangled absently from the chain link fence. The combination locks all rotated to display an odd sequence of numbers. 0211 2017. Shaking, Dusty reached for his handgun and entered the premises. A rattling came from the nearby dumpster. He moved closer to inspect it. Seemingly, though, nothing was there. Just pale splotches of unevenly trimmed grass, littered with bottles and cans. He pulled out his phone and started recording a video.
Hello, my name is Dean Heyerdahl. Some of you may have read my blog, Hill Country Secrets Uncovered, where I discuss what I believe to be a secret underground base created as part of Project MK Ultra in the 1950s, still operating to this day. I'm filming this right now because, well, I just got home from work and I want to document this so that people will know I'm not crazy. I just looked at my fence at the locks. All of the chains have been cut. Now, earlier today, I noticed a strange person who I believe to be connected with the deep state come into my place of business. I am in sales now, and this wasn't all that remarkable, I guess you could say. Not that remarkable at all, except they seemed to be studying me. And when he came to talk to me, he whispered something I couldn't quite understand. When I left the office, he was watching me, so I don't know what exactly is going on, but I'm about to go into... Anyway, as you can see, these combos are all spelling out the date February 11th, 2017. Seems like it was done intentionally. Maybe they're trying to send me a message. I haven't entered my house yet, but... I'll have to play this back, but I am assuming I'm not crazy and you all heard that. Well, there's no wind around here. There's nothing that would have knocked that down. Sure, it could have been an animal. I know that's what a lot of people... I'm going to enter the house now and see what's going on.
As he opened the door, he revealed that all of the drawers in the house had been opened. All of the files in the file cabinets had been spread over the floor, and all of the furniture overturned.
Shit. Holy shit. Someone definitely broke in, but didn't take the safe. Look over there. They left my wallet on the table, left my television, computer equipment, although it looks like... Look at that. Look at that. Someone tried to log in, and now it's frozen against any attempts for the next few hours. I think this is definitely not your run-of-the-mill.
Suddenly, the house began to shake. Dusty clutched his ears and dropped his phone to the ground. It landed against the side of the computer desk and pointed upwards, leaving the manager barely in the shot. Dusty's mind began to spin, almost dissociating from his body. The ground shook and the light fixture flickered on and off. He backed up against the wall and reached for his pistol, trembling.
I don't know what the hell is going on, but...
The door suddenly sprang open, interrupting him. A shadowy figure entered the house, pacing away from Dusty down the hall with its back to the camera. It looked almost like a homeless person, wearing camouflage pants, disheveled clothing, and heavy camping gear on a large pack. Dusty stood up, pointing the gun at whoever it was.
Hey! Stop right there, buddy.
The figure turned, revealing a pair of glowing white eyes. Its face was dark and indifferent, its hair shaggy and covering up part of his face. Cocking its head at Dusty, it leaned in. Dusty's mind became filled with visions of a vast, underground government laboratory, connected by tunnels to others just like it across Texas. He saw a wormhole open up over a tiny brick ranch house, and a sinkhole spread through the earth.
What are you trying to tell me?
It came closer to him, projecting the same image into his mind, speaking in booming and omnipresent telepathic voices that sounded like disjointed alien languages. The creature held out its hand and telekinetically forced Dusty to drop his weapon. Dusty floated off of the ground.
What do you want? What do you want?
Slowly, Dusty lost consciousness, entering a foreign world of the strange entity's own making. The creature, curious, crept closer to the cell phone, still running on the floor, and picked it up. It studied its own image in the camera, marveling at itself. pointing the camera at different objects in the room. The computer, the files on Dusty's floor, the bathroom mirror, before it set the cell phone back where it had found it. The creature then vanished and the cell phone ran out of recording space. Dusty woke up in the morning with a pounding headache and no memory of the night before. The words Horizon, February 11th, 2017, Watch the Skies, blazed into his memory. He shook as he watched the video, none of which he remembered. He had already called the police. Little as he knew they could help, just to have some kind of record of his break-in. He knew what he had to do. He knew the truth. He knew that they would think he was crazy. He knew they'd think it was a lie, but he had to do it. He had to post the video. Once the police had left, he spent a few hours figuring out how to set up an account on the fascist Illuminati spy service known amongst the sheeple as Google, and posted the video to YouTube. He then shared it to all of the communities he could think of. At first, the story was lambasted as fake, although they conceded it was an interesting video with some convincing special effects. But then, someone connected the dots to another story, almost a throwaway. Monday night of that same week, a kidnapper reportedly turned himself in after spotting an angel at a gas station in the hill country. Only a few days remained until the 11th, they noted. Over the course of Dusty's shift that night, dozens of those in the know, especially around Austin, began clearing their schedules on that Saturday to make time to watch the sky out in the hill country. Hello! Thank you for listening to this episode of Rivers of the Mind, Season 1.5. I hope that you enjoyed it. This episode was written and produced by Timmy Vilgiotti with help from Sophie Doss and Colin Estes. Music in this episode was provided by Colin Estes, and Colin Estes also played the part of Dusty. I was the one who played the part of John, although John did not actually speak, and I also played the manager at the Arby's. So thank you so much for listening. If you like our show, please consider going on to Patreon and supporting us. Other than that, yeah. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.